It is easy to ignore strangers who doubt you. You close the screen, you walk away, you disappear from old circles, you stop answering messages from people who never understood the weight you carry. But what happens when doubt lives inside your own house? What happens when the doubt sits across from you at dinner? What happens when it appears in money conversations? What happens when the person closest to you asks in a quiet voice, "Are you sure this is going to work?" That question cuts deeper than a stranger's insult, because a stranger doubts the idea. Home doubts the man. And when home doubts the man, something dangerous begins to happen inside him. He does not just question the plan. He questions his own right to continue. He starts looking for permission from people who are still judging him by his old pattern. He starts explaining himself to people who do not need more explanation. They need proof. He starts burning the same energy he should be using to build, to defend a future that does not yet have enough evidence. This is where many men lose, not because they lack ambition, not because they lack intelligence, not because the dream is impossible. They lose because they do not know how to build while being emotionally unsupported. They know how to work when everyone is clapping. They know how to move when the house is peaceful. They know how to dream when there is no pressure on the table. But pressure reveals command. When the house is uncertain, when the money is not yet stable, when the old version of you is still alive in the memory of the people around you, that is where your real character is measured. Machiavelli understood something brutal about human nature. He wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." In simple terms, people judge what they can see, not what you intend, not what you feel, not what you promise, not the greatness you secretly believe is inside you. They judge the visible pattern. And if the visible pattern still looks chaotic, emotional, inconsistent, undisciplined, or reckless, then your house will not trust your vision, even if your vision is real. This is why your first mission is not to convince them. Your first mission is to become visible evidence. Because if your family doubts you, if your wife doubts you, if your friends doubt you, if your environment looks at your ambition like it is another phase, you must understand the battlefield clearly. Some doubt is sabotage. But not all doubt is sabotage. Some doubt is fear. Some doubt is memory. Some doubt is pattern recognition. Some doubt is the echo of promises you made before and failed to keep. Some doubt comes from people who have watched you start and stop. They have seen your intense declarations. They have seen the days when motivation was high and discipline was low. They have seen the money pressure. They have seen the unfinished projects. They have seen the old version of you. So when they doubt you, it may feel like betrayal. But it may also be your past testifying against your future. A strategic man does not react like a child when this happens. He does not turn every question into an insult. He does not call every concern weakness. He does not confuse being misunderstood with being attacked. He studies the doubt. He asks himself one cold question: are they trying to control me, or are they responding to a lack of evidence? That question will save you from two mistakes. The first mistake is collapse. This is when a man hears doubt from someone close and he begins to shrink. He thinks, maybe they are right. Maybe I am not built for this. Maybe I should wait until everyone feels safe. Maybe I should stop until the house becomes supportive. Maybe peace must come before progress. That thought is poison. Because many men are waiting for the house to become peaceful before they start building. They are waiting for approval before action. They are waiting for belief before proof. They are waiting for comfort before command. But support often arrives after progress, not before. Trust often arrives after consistency, not before. Peace often arrives after proof, not before. If you make other people's emotional certainty the starting condition for your execution, your ambition will rot while you are waiting to be understood. The second mistake is fighting. This is when a man turns his vision into a nightly argument. He explains, he defends, he raises his voice. He tries to force someone to see the future before there is enough evidence in the present. He says, "You just do not believe in me." He says, "One day you will see." He says, "I am going to make it." He says, "You do not understand what I am building." Maybe all of that is true, but truth spoken in the wrong state becomes weakness. Conflict is the worst courtroom for ambition. Remember that. Conflict is the worst courtroom for ambition. When emotions are high, people do not judge your vision clearly. They defend their fear. They protect their comfort. They remember your past. They ask for guarantees that no meaningful life can provide. A tense money conversation is not the place to present your entire future. A heated argument is not a strategy meeting. A battlefield is not a courtroom. If you explain your whole dream while angry, tired, defensive, or desperate to be believed, you make the dream look weaker. Not because the dream is weak, because your state is weak. A man who cannot control his state while explaining his mission looks like a man who cannot carry the mission. This is why the unsupported man must become colder. Not cruel, colder. He must learn to separate emotional pressure from strategic action. He must learn that not every doubt deserves a speech. Not every fear deserves a debate. Not every concern requires a full explanation of the mission. Sometimes the most powerful answer is not another argument. It is a visible pattern. You cannot always control who believes in you. You can control how much evidence you create. That is the core law. You cannot force your wife to feel safe about a business that has not produced stable results yet. You cannot force your family to trust a go when your schedule still looks disorganized. You cannot force your friends to respect your ambition when they still see you wasting hours. You cannot demand belief in your future while your present is still ruled by impulse. But you can control the bricks. You can control the hours. You can control the money behavior. You can control the consistency. You can control the way you move when someone questions you. You can control whether you collapse, fight, or build. And over time, evidence changes the emotional climate more than speeches do. If you are serious about becoming a man who no longer begs for permission, then understand this. You are probably consuming a lot of content. You are hearing harsh truths. You are watching videos about discipline, power, solitude, and human nature. But if your daily pattern does not change, you are not growing. You are only collecting language for the same old weakness. If you continue like that, you will become a man who understands power intellectually but never embodies it physically. Inside Patreon, I go deeper into the unfiltered systems behind discipline, influence, self-command, and the psychology of power that cannot be softened for the public feed. If you want to truly change, enter the private circle and study what most men only watch from the outside. The decision is yours. Now, listen carefully. Before your house trusts your dream, your house must see your command, not once, repeatedly. They must see that you wake up when you said you would. They must see that you work without needing to be watched. They must see that you do not spend recklessly while talking about wealth. They must see that you do not become emotionally unstable every time someone questions you. They must see that you do not start a new mission every week. They must see that you do not sacrifice the household for fantasy. They must see that you do not confuse ambition with irresponsibility. This is where many men expose themselves. They want respect for the future while the present is still undisciplined. They want support for a business while their money behavior creates fear. They want trust for the mission while they keep breaking small promises. They want people to believe in the man they are becoming, while still behaving like the man they claim they have outgrown. That will not work. A dream does not become credible because you speak about it with intensity. A dream becomes credible when your behavior begins to make disbelief look unreasonable. This is the proof ladder. First, prove discipline. Then, prove consistency. Then, prove income. Then, prove stability. Only then does the dream become credible to others. Most men try to skip the ladder. They want their house to believe in the castle while they have not even laid bricks in the mud. They want emotional trust before operational proof. They want applause before output. They want comfort before command. But the world does not reward what you meant to become. It responds to what you repeatedly demonstrate. So if your house doubts you, stop asking for belief. Ask yourself where the evidence is weak. Is your sleep chaotic? Is your schedule reactive? Is your money unclear? Is your work block negotiable? Are your emotions easy to hijack? Do you talk about your future more than you build it? Do you need people to understand you before you move? If the answer is yes, then the problem is not only their doubt. The problem is that your current pattern may still be feeding the doubt. A man seeking power must be honest enough to see both sides. He must see where others are unfair, and he must see where he has not yet become undeniable. This is not about being pitied. This is not about winning every argument. This is not about forcing your family, your wife, your friends, or your environment to clap before the proof exists. This is about building a future while pressure lives close. And to do that, you need a private operating system. Your system must be more stable than the emotional climate of your house. When the house is uncertain, your system must be certain. When the people around you are emotional, your system must be calm. When the environment is noisy, your system must create silence. When doubt enters the room, your system must already know what happens next. Wake early. Work before the house wakes. Track money. Reduce unnecessary conflict. Separate deep work from emotional arguments. Create non-negotiable hours. This is not motivational advice. This is survival architecture for the unsupported man. Wake early because quiet hours are strategic territory. When the house is awake, everyone has access to you. Questions appear, small demands appear, emotional noise appears. The phone starts pulling your mind into other people's priorities. The world begins asking for pieces of you before you have given anything serious to your future. So you must claim time before the world enters. The early morning belongs to the man who can command himself. No phone, no arguments, no explanations, no negotiation, just movement, review, and work. Move the body first, because a weak body makes the mind easier to corrupt. Then review the mission, because a man without a clear target becomes available to every distraction. Then enter the first work block before anyone has a chance to pull you into the old pattern. Even one serious hour before the house wakes can change the direction of your life. Not because 1 hour is magic, because 1 hour repeated becomes evidence. And evidence is what changes perception. Machiavelli understood that power rests on appearance and outcome. People may claim they care about your heart, your intention, your desire, your hidden potential. But in reality, most people judge from what appears in front of them. They judge the visible order of your life. They judge whether your words and your behavior stand in the same room. So if you keep saying you are building, but no one sees structure, your words become noise. If you keep saying you are serious, but your mornings are still weak, your seriousness becomes performance. If you keep saying you need support, but your money is still chaotic, your request sounds like another burden. This is why you work before the house wakes. Not to impress anyone, not to escape responsibility, not to act superior. You do it because interruption is easier to control before people need you. A man building under household doubt cannot always demand perfect conditions. He may not have a silent apartment. He may not have a supportive partner. He may not have parents who understand the mission. He may not have friends who speak the language of discipline. So he must create hidden conditions. Early hours, late focused blocks, protected windows, small output targets. He must become tactical. The house may not give him 4 clean hours, so he captures one. Then he captures another. Then he builds a rhythm so consistent that even the people who doubt him begin to adjust around it. Do not complain about the environment until you have mastered the hours that are already available. That sentence will offend the weak man, because the weak man wants the environment to change before he changes his behavior. But the strategic man understands that control begins with what is already within reach. You may not control whether your house believes in you, but you control whether you wake when you said you would. You control whether the phone enters your hand before the mission enters your mind. You control whether your first hour belongs to your future or to the noise. You control whether your day begins in command or reaction. Track money, because money is often the center of home doubt. Many people do not fear your dream. They fear the cost of your dream. They fear instability. They fear unpaid bills. They fear reckless spending. They fear another promise that creates pressure. They fear the man who speaks about wealth while behaving carelessly with what he already has. So if you want to build while your house doubts you, your money behavior must become serious. Know your survival number. Know what must be paid. Know what can be cut. Know what is business reinvestment and what is ego spending. Know whether the tool you want is actually useful or whether it simply makes you feel like a builder. Know whether the course you want is a strategic investment or another way to feel productive without producing. This is where many men lie to themselves. They call spending ambition. They call risk courage. They call chaos entrepreneurship. They call irresponsibility belief. But your house can feel the difference. A woman can feel when a man has a plan and when he has a fantasy. A family can feel when a man is building and when he is gambling with language. People close to you may not understand your exact strategy, but they can often sense whether your life has order. So create order. Track expenses. Cut status spending. Build a buffer. Protect the household from unnecessary exposure. Show financial discipline before demanding belief in financial freedom. Numbers calm what speeches cannot. If someone asks, "How will this work?" do not respond with emotion. Respond with structure. For the next 90 days, I am keeping expenses below this level. For the next 90 days, I am building this skill from this hour to this hour. For the next 90 days, I am testing this offer with this number of prospects. For the next 90 days, I am not touching household money for experiments. That is a different man. That is not a dreamer begging to be believed. That is a commander making risk visible, measured, and contained. Reduce unnecessary conflict. This does not mean become passive. This does not mean swallow disrespect. This does not mean let everyone walk through your boundaries. It means stop wasting your strength on battles that create no progress. Some men burn the energy needed for execution by arguing about the mission every night. They win sentences and lose weeks. They defend the future and produce nothing. They call it standing up for themselves, but often it is just pressure leaking through the mouth. The strategic man does not turn every doubt into a war. He chooses when to speak. He chooses what to explain. He chooses what to ignore. He chooses what to prove. There is a kind of silence that comes from weakness, and there is a kind of silence that comes from command. Weak silence avoids truth. Commanded silence refuses waste. Learn the difference. If someone asks a serious question at the right time, answer calmly. If someone raises a concern about money, responsibility, time, or stability, do not dismiss it. Address it like a man. But if someone tries to pull you into the same emotional loop every night, stop feeding the loop. A repeated argument becomes a ritual. And if you participate in that ritual long enough, the relationship will train your nervous system to expect conflict every time you try to grow. Separate deep work from emotional arguments. Never walk straight from a fight into the work and expect peak focus. If conflict happens, take control of your state. Walk, breathe, reset. Write down the next task. Then execute. Do not let someone else's fear decide the quality of your output. Emotional contamination is real. A tense conversation can poison 3 hours if you allow it. One sentence from someone close can replay inside your head until the entire word block is destroyed. And then, after losing the word block, you become more frustrated, more defensive, and more desperate to prove yourself. That cycle must end. Build a ritual that closes the emotional door before deep work begins. A short walk, a glass of water, a notebook, one written command, one task, timer on, phone away, work. Nothing mystical, nothing dramatic. Just a system that prevents other people's emotional weather from becoming your internal climate. Create non-negotiable hours. This is essential. If you are always available, your mission will be eaten by the household. Not because everyone is evil, because the available man becomes the default servant of every interruption. If everyone knows you can be interrupted, you will be interrupted. If everyone knows your work block can be negotiated, it will be negotiated. If everyone knows your mission bends every time someone wants access, your mission will never become real in the social order of the house. You need protected hours. Clear, consistent, reasonable, not dramatic. This is my work block. This is when I train. This is when I study. This is when I build. Do not over-explain. Do not present it as a request for identity validation. Present it as a standard. Then keep it. The first time you set a new standard, people may resist. Not always because they hate you. Sometimes because they are used to the old access. They are used to the version of you who was always available, always reactive, always easy to pull back into the room. When you change, the access changes. When your access changes, people feel the loss of the old arrangement. So expect resistance. A look, a joke, a question, a complaint, an emotional pull back into the old version. Do not make it dramatic. Just observe. Then hold the standard. You do not need to fight every pull. You need to remain consistent enough that the old access dies. That is how identity changes socially. Not through speeches, through repeated boundaries. Now we come to the communication rule. Do not explain your entire vision during conflict. Speak when calm. Keep it short. Make the next action visible. This rule alone can save a man years of useless arguments. Many men make their vision look weaker by explaining it emotionally. They speak from frustration. They speak after being doubted. They speak because they want to prove they are not crazy. They speak too long. They speak too big. They make promises too far ahead. I'm going to change our entire life. I'm going to be rich. You will see. One day all of this will work, may be true. But if there is no visible structure, those words sound like fantasy to people under pressure. Instead, speak smaller and stronger. Do not say, I am going to change everything. Say, for the next 90 days, I am building this skill from 6 to 8 every morning. Do not say, this business will make us rich. Say, I am testing this offer with 50 prospects and tracking the responses. Do not say, you just do not believe in me. Say, "You do not have to believe yet. I understand why you need to see consistency. I am building that." Do not say, "Stop doubting me." Say, "Judge the next 90 days by my actions." This is stronger. It reduces drama. It makes the next action visible. It turns emotional conflict into measurable proof. A calm, specific man is harder to dismiss than a loud dreamer. Remember that. A calm, specific man is harder to dismiss than a loud dreamer. Now build the proof ladder. First, prove discipline. Discipline means your daily behavior changes before you demand emotional trust. Wake on time. Keep promises. Finish tasks. Stop making dramatic declarations. Stop wasting the first hour. Stop living like a man who needs to be pushed. Prove that you can command yourself. Second, prove consistency. Discipline once is not enough. Anyone can be intense for a day. Anyone can wake early when motivation is high. Anyone can speak like a warrior after watching a powerful video. Consistency is what changes perception. 30 days of the same work block, 30 days of daily output, 30 days of money tracking, 30 days of no phone in the first hour, 30 days of calm under doubt. Now people see a pattern. Third, prove income. At some point, the dream must touch reality. Build the skill, create the offer, contact the market, get feedback, get the first client, earn even a small amount. Small income matters because it shows market contact. It says, "This is not only in my head, reality has responded." Fourth, prove stability. Money once is not enough. You need repeatability. Can you deliver? Can you keep a client? Can you reinvest without becoming reckless? Can you avoid status spending? Can you build a buffer? Can you make the house feel less exposed to risk over time? Stability turns fear into respect. Discipline, consistency, income, stability. That is the ladder. Only then does the dream become credible to others. And even then, some people may still doubt. Good. Their doubt is no longer your foundation. You are not building for universal approval. You are building a life that does not collapse without it. Now understand the deeper emotional truth. Sometimes the house doubts you because they fear losing the old version of you. If you change, the relationship dynamic changes. If you become disciplined, your old availability changes. If you become ambitious, old comfort patterns are threatened. If you build money, old dependency structures may shift. If you become stronger, people who were used to your weakness may feel unstable. This is human nature. People may say they want you to grow, but they often prefer growth that does not disrupt their access to you. So when you become serious, expect resistance. Not always open hostility. Sometimes subtle resistance. A delayed conversation when you are about to work. A joke when you are trying to stay disciplined. A question that appears every time you begin to move. A complaint that pulls you back into the old emotional rhythm. Do not become paranoid. Do not make everyone your enemy. Just become observant. Power begins when you stop taking every reaction personally and start reading patterns. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." That line matters here. The people around you may not experience the full depth of your intention. They may not see the private war inside you. They may not know how badly you want to become better. They may not understand the future you are trying to build. They see the appearance. They see the pattern. They see whether you actually moved. So stop demanding that they recognize your internal transformation before your external behavior proves it. Become visible. Become orderly. Become hard to dismiss. Become the kind of man whose routine argues for him before his mouth opens. Now, there is a warning. Do not use ambition as an excuse to neglect legitimate responsibility. That is not power. That is immaturity. If you have a family, obligations, bills, children, or commitments, strategy must include them. A man who abandons responsibility and calls it ambition is not building power. He is escaping accountability. The goal is not to create chaos and demand everyone admire your dream. The goal is to build under pressure with precision. That means protect your work hours, but do not become reckless. Track money. Communicate the plan calmly. Keep your obligations visible. Do not force the house to carry the cost of your disorganization. If your ambition makes you more chaotic, less reliable, and more emotionally unstable, your house has reason to doubt you. Fix that. Your discipline must make the house more confident over time, not more afraid. This is how you become undeniable, not by demanding belief, by becoming reliable under pressure. If you are serious about this path, understand the difference between watching and transforming. Many men watch content about power because it makes them feel temporarily strong. But after the video ends, they return to the same habits, the same excuses, the same emotional reactions, the same unfinished work. If you continue like that, you are not building a new identity. You are decorating the old one with stronger words. Inside Patreon, I give you the deeper, unfiltered material for men who want structure, discipline, psychological clarity, and private teachings that go beyond the public videos. This is for the man who does not want comfort. This is for the man who wants to become impossible to dismiss. Join Patreon if you are ready to study seriously. The decision is yours. Now here is your assignment. For the next 30 days, do not ask your house to believe in the dream. Ask them to judge the pattern. Create a simple private operating system. One protected work block per day. One daily output. One money tracking habit. One conflict rule. Never explain the full vision during emotional heat. One weekly review. At the end of each week, ask yourself, did I build before the house woke? Did I protect my deep work? Did I avoid unnecessary conflict? Did I produce proof? Did I improve money discipline? Did I become calmer under doubt? If yes, you are building evidence. If no, stop blaming the doubt and fix the pattern, because the house may doubt you. But your behavior may also be feeding that doubt. A man seeking power must be honest enough to see both. This is not about being pitied. This is not about winning every argument. This is not about forcing your wife, family, friends, or environment to clap before the proof exists. This is about building a future while pressure lives close, and that requires a colder kind of strength. The strength to be doubted and still work. The strength to be misunderstood and still remain calm. The strength to hear fear and not become infected by it. The strength to separate emotion from execution. The strength to let proof replace speeches. The strength to become consistent before demanding trust. So remember this, it is easy to chase success when strangers doubt you. The real test begins when doubt sleeps in the same house. If your house doubts you, do not collapse. Do not turn every night into a courtroom. Do not explain your entire future in the middle of conflict. Build a private operating system. Wake early. Work before the house wakes. Track money. Reduce unnecessary conflict. Protect deep work. Create non-negotiable hours. Climb the proof ladder. Discipline. Consistency. Income. Stability. You cannot always control who believes in you. You can control how much evidence you create. And if your house doubts you, become the kind of man whose discipline makes doubt look childish.